On Higher Beings, the Contact Codex, Section 1, Leading to Contact. On a cold fall evening in 2017, all preconceptions I had about life itself would be turned on its backside. Leading up to this event, I had previously moved out into an apartment on my own with my girlfriend at the time, who we will call Sage for reasons of privacy. Sage and I had experienced a number of paranormal happenings during our time together, many of which cannot be written here. However, I will elaborate on the happenings that are relevant to the facts at hand. I had started to have a lot of questions about my existence and where I fit into the equation of all things. Sage also had an interest in these kinds of thoughts and ponderings. Together, we began as two lovers running for answers. What kind of answers? What kind of questions? I personally began to take the route of studying many different spiritual texts, philosophies, modes of thinking, as well as ideologies. The ones I found the most interesting always seemed to cross-reference in relevance. Finding the essence of my inner and outer being began to be my search and passion. Sage, on the other hand, seemed to be more interested in studying the chakra energy centers, as well as texts pertaining to Buddhist and Hindu beliefs. This soon began to form an environment for me to research meditation and prayers of power in order to make contact with the divine source. What was this divine source? Was I meant to stumble upon this being or entity? And if so, was I worthy? My heart pounded at the thought of these questions. These anxious thoughts soon led to obsessive behavior, being so caught up in the what-ifs of life and how much of it truly didn't make sense to my 19-year-old brain. All those hours of studying, meditating, and pondering would soon come to a head, an entrance point for the unknown to come spiraling into existence in my life. Contact. All of this eventually led to that cold night during fall of 2017 in downtown St. Augustine. I was walking with Sage along the streets of the town at around 3 a.m., something we did fairly often. However, this night would prove to be different from the rest. As we were walking along a street in view of the Castillo de San Marcos, an ancient landmark, Sage directed my attention to the skies. What I looked up and beheld was mind-boggling. There was a cloud in the sky, glowing between blue and yellowish hues. Eventually this faded away, and a bluish-colored tail of light came spiraling out of the clouds and across the atmosphere. We both stood and watched in astonishment. What happened next has been burned into my mind ever since, and will never be removed or lost. The bluish tail soon disappeared, and from the three corners of the horizon came three red orbs of glowing light. They floated within the atmosphere and moved silently across the sky as they locked into a triangular formation. I felt a strange electrical sensation running up and down my spine as I held Sage's hand and stated, "Look, they're here." And as I looked on, the strange triangular formation of red orbs of light began to tilt and rotated to the right about 45 degrees. Soon after, this strange sensation set into my mind, and I could feel the hairs on my neck standing up in energetic vibration. And I watched the orbs in question slowly and silently float apart and drift away out of view over the horizon, as if the show was over. It was far from over, however, as the months and years that would progress from that moment on would lead me on a spiritual and out-of-this-world journey of the mind. Downloads and visions. After having had this experience, making contact with light beings, I was furiously on a search for anything that could lead me to answers about why I saw what I did and what it all meant. Sage and I kept at our studies and continued on our own paths of enlightenment, when after hours of studies and meditations, I began to hear voices and see images. These experiences with voices and images are held extremely sacred to myself. However, After having been about 5 years deep into my experience and journey, I find it necessary to make a full account of these visions and downloads and to manifest them in the flesh. Make of these pieces of information what you will, and take everything with a grain of salt until thoroughly analyzed and experimented upon yourself. I guess no one ever said this journey would be easy, but this long dark tunnel's been getting a little breezy. I think I see the light, I'm gonna run with all my might.
Now for sure I'm coming home tonight.